Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to March 11, 2022. I think I got 21 in mind, but I just got it quickly. It's 2022 to this planning board meeting. We have a couple of councillors with other commitments, and so we have a quorum here. And the vice chair is Councillor Adams. And before we move further, we'll get a motion to approve the agenda, or I'll leave that up to Councillor Adams, the chair. So the meeting is called to order, and we'll turn it over to the chair, vice chair, Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Worship. So we'll call the meeting to order, and the mover, Councillor Barb, and a seconder. Do we need a seconder for?
Yes. Sorry, one thing I neglected. I wanted to welcome all the viewers on YouTube and all members of council, and we have our engineer from Tech Services with us, Aaron McDonald, and Linda Stevenson from Tech Services, and our CAO, Rob Philpott, and Brian Harlick here on the left running the controls. So back to you, Madam Chair.
No worries. Okay, Councillor Barb was going to move the meeting. And since Councillor Brian is not here, would you be able to second the motion?
I will second it.
Perfect. So planning board is myself, Mayor, and Councillor Barb today. Councillor Brian is not with us. So the approval of the agenda is Councillor Barb, seconded by your worship. And so the first one will start on the recommendation of 121 Walker Avenue, major subdivision preliminary approval. The purpose to subdivide a portion of PID 71191, creating 28 lots, lot 21-1 to 21-28, phase 1 and phase 2, public street, and the remainder of PID number 71191, future phase 3. The planning board is required to make a recommendation to council on this application, and preliminary approval is required by council before the development can proceed. Background: an application was received from Enterprise Venture Group to subdivide a portion of PID 71191 into 28 lots. The lots are intended to be, but not limited to, semi-detached dwelling development. The proposed 28 lots, phase 3, the public streets are indicated on preliminary survey plan prepared by Locust Surveys Limited, drawing number 21258-P02, dated March 3rd, 2022. And the drawing is in the report. The report is required under section 3.6 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw. Council, Planning Board, and Development Officer shall consider the following general criteria when reviewing development applications under this bylaw as applicable. A, conformity with the bylaw. Staff comment: this subdivision promotes smart growth, making effective use of the land, and applies to the principle of orderly and following. B, conformity with the official plan. Staff comment: the subdivision conforms to the official plan. The future land use for the property is residential. The proposed subdivision has no impact on the parks and green space plan. C, conformity with the zoning bylaw. Staff comment: the proposed lots conform with the zoning bylaw as the land is zoned a mix of medium residential density residential R3 and high density residential R4. D, the orderly and following nature of the development. Staff comment: this development promotes residential growth and is an example of infilling vacant land. E, physical suitability of the site for the proposed development, including avoidance of natural hazards, undue water runoff, or environmental damage. Staff comment: the site is suitable for development. The development will have no impact regarding natural hazards or environmental damage, as these matters are not applicable with this development. Water runoff will be directed to city storm drainage system. F, compatibility of the proposed development with the future and present and future surrounding patterns of streets, lots, and services, including conformity with any city concept plans. Staff comment: this development is compatible with the current and future surrounding patterns of streets and services. The development of the medium and high density residential lots is intended to be developed in phases. Phase 1 and 2 is intended to be developed this construction season, and phase 3 will be developed in the future. The existing public street network and municipal services can be extended to this development. A street connection to the north will be provided to accommodate phase 3. G, adequacy of the applicant's proposals for traffic circulation, parking, pedestrian access, water supply, sewage disposal, and storm drainage, including the adequacy of city streets and services to handle increased loads. Staff comment: there will be minimal change to traffic flow on Walker Avenue and/or McEwen Road because of this development. The proposed residential street will be redesigned to meet a 50 km/h local street with the speed limit posted at 40 km/h. The proposed street would have an 8.8 meter width with concrete curbs. The paved shoulder on the proposed street will allow for safe pedestrian traffic. The city's water supply and water main lines and sewer main lines in the area are adequate for the new subdivision. The developer/owner will be required to install new storm drainage mains, water and sewer mains, and new service laterals. 2 laterals for semi-detached dwellings will need to be installed to the property lines. All infrastructure will be designed and installed to meet city standards at the developer's cost. Power is only available from the west via Gallant Street extension. An existing 3-phase line going to the city well property can be extended to service all lots. Property from McEwen Road is significantly more difficult as a Maritime Electric 69 kV blocks entrance into this development. Also, there may be building restrictions on lots 21-15 and 21-14 due to Maritime Electric 69 kV line location. H, suitability of parkland provisions. Staff comment. Parkland dedication is required for a major residential subdivision based on buildable area. The buildable area is 36,423 square meters, 9 acres, 4.5 acres of medium density, and 4.5 acres of high density residential land. At council's discretion, the parkland dedication shall be 7.5% land or $2,625 per acre monetary park contribution for medium density and 10% land or $3,500 per acre monetary park contribution for high density. Land dedication at 7.5% would be 1,376 square meters or 0.34 acres. Monetary dedication at $2,625 per acre would be $11,812.50. Land dedication at 10% would be 1,821 square meters or 0.45 acres. Monetary dedication at $3,500 per acre would be $15,750. In total, $27,562.50. The city has sufficient green space, Bluebell Park and Rotary Park, within 600 meters of the subject property. This subject parcel was located in the former community of Sherbrooke prior to amalgamation. The city is reviewing an agreement between Enterprise Venture Group, Inc. and the community of Sherbrooke, whereby parkland for this development may have been previously satisfied with the land, Platte River Park. Should it be determined that the parkland is not satisfied, the city is proposing to satisfy the parkland dedication with monetary dedication. The parkland contributions shall be put in a fund reserved solely for acquiring or expanding public parks within the city. I, impacts of city finances and budgets. Staff comment, the preliminary subdivision approval application does not have an impact on city finances and budgets. J, proof of conformity with any applicable provincial legislation and regulations. Staff comment, the developer shall conform with all provincial requirements as applicable. K, other matters are considered relevant. Staff comment, the developer provided a copy of the street name policy and will submit a street name at a later date. Staff review, technical services staff recommend the application from Enterprise Venture Group, Inc. to subdivide into 28 lots. The lots are intended to be, but not limited to, a semi-detached dwelling development be recommended to be approved by council subject to the following. 1, the developer shall satisfy all municipal servicing requirements. 2, the developer enters into a subdivision construction agreement. 3, the developer shall satisfy the parkland dedication requirements. As per section 8.5 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw, the planning board shall make a recommendation to council on this application before it is approved or denied. The planning board recommendation, whether carried or defeated, will be brought forward to council for a final decision. Planning board recommendation, preliminary subdivision approval be granted to Enterprise Venture Group, Inc. to subdivide PID number 71191, creating 28 lots, lots 21-1 to 21-28, phase 1 and phase 2, public street, and the remainder of PID number 71191, future phase 3, be recommended to be approved by council. I need a mover and a seconder.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Barb and seconded by your worship.
A couple of questions.
One question?
I don't want to be first here, but I'm just wondering, made some notes. Maritime Electric bulk line, why does Maritime Electric have the authority to block entrance? or do they?
There's a line location there, right?
There's a huge power line that comes from Borden and Medeck all the way to there, and it cuts through the city. We're just saying that's physically where the actual line cuts through that property. They may have issues trying to get services power lines in close proximity to that large line.
Yeah, so is there a way to get around it? I guess,
Yeah, we're saying that on the other end of the property, the city has a well already there. The city has power brought in as far as the well, so they can service their property just in from that direction.
okay. And just a couple other things, Madam Chair. Who decides in the parkland is satisfied? Is that the city or what did you say about the province in Sherbrooke? Sorry.
Back at the amalgamation time, and it was also my first few years here in 97, 98, or 2000, those discussions with this landowner about parkland contribution deals that had been done with the previous community in Sherbrooke. So when this development came about, we're trying to dig out those documents with our lawyer and their lawyer. We have dug it out and gone over with them. We're just trying to finalize it. We think that they provided 9 acres of parkland already,
Okay.
and it was accounted for certain property numbers, but there was no map with it. So we're trying to finalize all that out now to make sure that going forward, there will be a map for future developments to say this property is parkland already given up for these various parcels and have it confirmed.
So, okay, who makes the final decision though? Is it your staff or city council or?
Well, in conjunction with our lawyer, the CEO, what we were reviewing to make sure we're honoring a previous agreement that already existed from Sherbrooke or the original councils back in 97, 98, or 99, that range.
Okay, thank you. And just my final point here, question. The date of the final decision, do we have that date? It will be March 21st? Okay, well, it's 28 new lots, they're duplexes, so that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I think, Your Worship, you pretty much asked the questions that I was kind of curious about myself. So one question that I did have is that they will be on Summerside Electric, not Maritime Electric, correct? Okay, thank you.
Greg?
Oh, just not a question, more of a comment for the residents up there that to access Bluebell Park, last year we widened that turn on Walker to make it a little safer for them. And we'll keep an eye on the development of Fox Meadows. They might have to cut in there and go over to the park. Bluebell Park is handy enough to service them.
Correct.
More development in your ward, Mr. Campbell, all the developments taking place.
Deputy Mayor?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll direct it to Director Aaron. On page 2 of the report to council, section B, conformity with official plan. I just want to check on the point. It says that the proposed subdivision has no impact on the parks and green space plans. So there's been nothing there, because I know we have other applications in, and I just want to kind of look at the difference as to why that doesn't have an impact in other ones. There's green space and there's questions. I don't know why that happens.
The Parks and Green Space Plan had nothing identified impacting this property.
Okay.
You have a secondary document that's part of your official plan that's really just your parks. And so as when developments or rezonings happen, we look at that to say, does that particular property hasn't been identified on the Parks and Green Space Plan, and is there a change to it? It's not identified on this Parks and Green Space Plan, this property, so it doesn't, the rezoning or development does not impact your overall Parks and Green Space Plan.
Okay, thank you. And I'm staying on the same page 2 and point D, the orderly and following nature of the development. And just in the comment, the staff comment, it promotes residential growth and is an example of infilling vacant land. So, like is it down a bit, or is it just land that has to be infilled and used because?
Infill doesn't necessarily mean to put fill in there. It's basically vacant land that's now being developed. It's not meaning to actually fill as that place in structural fill or anything. It's basically property that's vacant that's being filled in with development.
Okay, all right. Yeah. And my last short question on page 3, staff review. The comment is made that, I'm just reading part of it, with Enterprise Venture Group to subdivide into 28 lots. The lots are intended to be but not limited to a semi-detached dwelling development. So I guess what I'm wondering with that is if as a development, whatever way it should be going, can that change midstream? Can they make a decision midstream and decide to put up a fourplex or
Well,
I just
right
wanna be
now,
sure.
the development, the street they're putting in, this is how they plan to subdivide it. The property on the, if you look at the sketch that's on there that Linda has, the property that backs onto the south side of that street, that backs on those houses in Walker, that property is zoned R3
Okay.
already, but they're proposing to just put semis on it, which could have happened in an R2, but that's what they're proposing. They may come back and say, I want to change it if I get demand or something. Everything that's on the north side of that street is zoned R4. But they're choosing to develop it with semis. That's the concept that we're seeing.
And that would be our,
Side-by-side semis, yeah. But it is zoned R4. They could put the road in and design back, and someone could walk in and say, maybe I want to put a row house on there, 4 or 5 units, and it fits in an R4 zone. They could do that because it already fits the zoning. They're
So-
proposing to put something in that's lower
okay.
density and lower development than the current zoning.
Okay, so if it say, however, it should go through or whatever, that but not limited to allows them, they have the, they can change their mind if they want to go with R3.
Correct, because if they change their mind, it would be to allow something that's already permitted in that zone.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
We're covering off now a street going in, where it's gonna be, the setbacks, water and sewer, power, everything else. The property can be subdivided and developed to meet that concept.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Greg?
Just an answer for what was mentioned earlier, the deputy mayor asked about the leveling of soil, so that's done at every unit now when there's built on a slab. So that's the reason why they bring in the fill.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, we'll go on to the next one.
Do we vote on that one?
We did. Yeah, we moved it and seconded, so everybody in favor?
Right.
Aye, sorry, yeah, just to go back, it was moved by Councillor Barber and seconded by your worship, so all in favor? Sorry about that. Got distracted with the questions. Yeah, yeah.
So the next time it comes to council will
goes to
be the
council.
21st?
21st. Yeah. I think we have several on the 21st, don't we? Yeah, we have, yeah, Brian will be back to do all the reading. So the subject here is mobile sales establishment, Redbridge Farms. Supporting explanation, purpose. The purpose of the application is to allow a mobile sales establishment, De Mama's Kitchen, to operate at 225 Reed Drive, PID 406439. Background, the location being proposed is owned by Redbridge Farms and Landscaping Limited. The mobile sales establishment is a trailer-style establishment. The menu promotes local products. The application is for the 2022 calendar year to operate year-round, weather permitting, and the proposed hours of operation will be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. This is the 5th year the establishment will operate with no issues to date. Mobile sales establishment means a business located in a motorized vehicle or movable structure that is towed or moved by motorized vehicle and where all of the goods, wares, or foodstuffs that are offered for sale are contained entirely within the motorized vehicle or movable structure, but does not include a lunch truck. And there's a picture of where it's located. I believe this one is one we have every year, so. Report under the section 13 of City of Summerside Licensing Bylaw CS-21, the bylaw states the following. 13, mobile sales establishment license. A, any person or company seeking a license to operate a mobile sales establishment in the city shall make application therefore to the council. B, licenses may be granted for a mobile sales establishment to conduct business on a maximum of 2 locations in the city, and each application shall be accompanied by a letter of permission from the owner of the property on which the mobile sales establishment will be located. C, council shall allow or refuse the application based upon consideration of safety, desirability, impact on established businesses in the city, public convenience, and such other considerations as it deems appropriate. D, council may attach terms and conditions to the approval of the license if granted, including but not limited to 1, hours and days of operation, 2, health code requirements, 3, litter control, 4, approved locations. E, the license for a mobile sales establishment shall be valid for the calendar year in which the application is made only. A new application is required to council for each calendar year. F, no appeals shall lie from a decision of council respecting a mobile sales establishment license. Staff comments. 1, Redbridge Farms and Landscaping Limited is the property owner at the location chosen the mobile sales establishment. The Mama's Kitchen is an affiliate company to the property owner. Staff review. Staff support the application received by Redbridge Farm and Landscaping Limited to operate a mobile sales establishment, The Mama's Kitchen, at 225 Reed Drive. As per section 510B3 of the zoning bylaw, the planning board shall make a recommendation to council on this application before it is approved or denied. The planning board recommendation, whether carried or defeated, will be brought forward to council for a final decision. Planning board recommendation, the application received from Redbridge Farm and Landscaping Limited to operate a mobile sales establishment, The Mama's Kitchen, at 225 Reed Drive, be recommended to be approved by council. I'll need a mover and a seconder. Moved by your worship. Moved by your worship and seconded by Councillor Barb. And any questions before we call for the vote? I think we're just going to mention that it said they come back every year. People are asked to come back every year, but I think council, we had asked staff to look at that, ones that come back constantly, if we can just do some kind of a renewal process. So I believe that's being looked at, so in case anyone remembers us talking about that. Your worship, did you have anything?
No, that's
Nope.
fine.
Okay, so moved by your worship and seconded by Councillor Barb. All in favor?
All right, so this goes to council as well on the 21st,
March 21st. Yes.
monthly meeting,
That's it.
the monthly meeting.
Yes, the monthly meeting. Okay, and if there's nothing else, then I will call for a motion to adjourn. So moved by Barb, seconded by Mayor Basil.
Thank you.
That's everything.
Right, just take Brian or